Welcome to Sex and Care. My name is Bartleby Ross.
Hi, my name is Eve Monique. Welcome.
And today we're going to dive further into the 50 Shades of Grey scenario. And title is 50 Shades of Grey, Deviance or Normality.
Yeah.
Now there is a lot kind of spinning around all the media right now because, of course, the movie is coming out on February 14th, 2015. And there are trailers and posters and all kinds promoting this movie.
And then there's discussion, of course.
The discussion is getting quite lively. And Christian Grey is really, I would say, under the microscope.
By who?
Well, that's a good question. But some in the media and some in the general population have decided that Mr. Grey is a deviant, that it's BDSM and his dominating ways of Anastasia and what he does with her are basically because he has psychological issues.
So they're saying if you enjoy that kind of sexuality, whether part you're on, you have a deviant quality.
Yeah, basically there's something wrong with you.
There's something wrong with you. Wow, look at that.
Well, that puts quite a number of us that don't think there is anything much wrong with us kind of in that category, right?
Is there proof of anything like that?
Well, you know, it's funny you should mention that because...
I bet you there is something.
Yes, there is a recent study out of the Netherlands, very recent.
Of course.
In the journal, in the Journal of Sexual Medicine. And in this study, they took a control group and a BDSM group. There was approximately, I think, 500, 600 in each of these groups. And what they were doing is a psychological profile to compare the psychological health of each of the two groups.
So they took one group of people who were very into BDSM.
Very into it, yeah.
And a group that's totally not into it.
Totally not into it.
And they did a psychological study on that.
Yeah, they did a profile. I mean, they had a number of markers. I think there was half a dozen different markers that they were looking at.
Okay, so pretty in-depth.
Yeah, it was a pretty in-depth study. And this is a very recent study. And the results were, well, quite fascinating, really, because they found that...
They're normal.
They are not only normal, not only were they normal, but the BDSM group proved to be slightly more psychologically healthy overall than the control group.
Interesting. So there's nothing wrong with us.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with exploring, and there's nothing wrong to opening up to an area that is new to you, that is in this area of BDSM.
Yeah. Now, of course, there's degrees to everything, as we know.
Yes.
But where I come from in this, I feel playful. I feel that I explore. I am with a consenting partner, and basically we want to have fun with taking the limits off what.
You want to feel more.
I want to feel more.
You want to expand yourself into a different area within yourself.
That's right.
In sexuality.
Yeah.
And I think even, to come to the point to have the awareness that you want to expand that, maybe that is pretty healthy. Yes,
maybe it is. Maybe it's healthy in so many different ways. I mean, your imagination is open, you're open-minded. I found there's a new sensitivity, there's an adventurousness and an aliveness. There's a sexual aliveness, which I have found in exploring those areas.
And you have to be very, very in tune and in touch with the person you're with. So you have to also be very alert, and you have to be very aware, and you have to really start opening and feel where the other person's at, and that's where you respond to.
That's right.
That takes quite a healthy mentality to do that.
And it takes a pretty healthy relationship to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting that when there's something new starts to get freed up, there's always something from the outside pushes into it. Like there is how do you say that? Like freedom. Freedom always gets a push against it.
Yes, well, of course, it's often quite threatening, right, to the status quo,
Mm-hmm.
to the normal behavior. And again, I think that's what we're seeing here with the 50 Shades of Grey phenomenon.
Yeah.
You know, it's very interesting because on the one hand, there is this huge pushback, which I feel like is now starting to happen. On the other hand, there is a great wave of people who maybe are touching into BDSM and domination and whatever for the first time. We have seen how many housewives in America went out and bought this book. I saw the figures today, 15 million books in the USA alone have sold.
Really? And what about their husbands?
Well, I think a lot of people are asking, what about their husbands? I mean, how many husbands actually have read the book? How many husbands have read maybe 10 pages of the book?
Yeah, I think for husbands, if you didn't read it yet and it's laying around in your house, go read it and see if there's an opening to start exploring.
Because there is some new stuff in there. If you're hooked into like just traditional kind of sex, this offers something different.
Mm-hmm.
It does. It really offers something different.
Yeah, and it offers a nice opportunity with your relationship, within your relationship, to just go a whole new route and to have some new, you know, boundaries and some new knowing about your partner.
You know, one of the things I do like is, for the men, is that Christian Grey, who seemingly came from a difficult, abused kind of childhood, he's very open. He's very he's a sensitive guy. You know, he breaks down quite a number of times, and you know, that's a different kind of role model. Considering we have this pushback that Christian Grey is a deviant and psychologically disturbed, well, you know, maybe at some level everybody, you know, has their own psychological disturbance. I mean, I don't know there's such a thing as a perfect childhood.
No.
But he does offer for men a different role model.
Which is a good thing.
That's a good
for
thing.
These day and age.
I think so too.
Because it takes, you know, men to be sensitive and aware and conscious about where their women are at and what they want to explore and open up to it. That is a good change.
That is a good change.
And as a man, if your woman is shy about it, take the lead and make it happen, you know?
And, well, Anastasia certainly likes it.
So.
Yeah. So what do you think, Ken?
Well, I think there's some pretty common issues at play. I think it's, you know, like, I believe there's a saying that says for every action there's a opposite and equal reaction. And I think because this movement gained a lot of momentum at a time and that pendulum swung, well, to me it only makes sense that now the pendulum of what the status quo is swinging back and trying to say, wait, well, that's deviant behavior. That's we're not used to that, so, you know, we don't like it. Kind of like the get off my lawn guy. It's his time to raise his voice. I think that's the natural order of things. I think the whole 50 Shades of Grey phenomenon is pretty uplifting because I think Eve really hit on it. It's a you're talking about freedom. You're talking about pushing the limits a little bit, which are going to allow yourself to free yourself more. And the reality of it is that always comes at a price, whether it's from the outside world or whether it's just from that breaking out of the internal comfort zone that we have. There's got to be something to, in order to get any gain, you've got to meet some resistance. So I guess this is it's kind of saying that on a couple of levels. But very, very interesting, and I like it that you pointed out that looking at Grey as an actual role model to the male becoming more sensitized in this world. Yeah.
Well, this phenomenon isn't going away very soon, that's for sure. I mean, once the movie hits in February, you know, it's going to do massive, massive numbers.
Yeah.
And we're going to see demonstrations outside of cinemas. We're going to
Yeah.
see all the stars
Is it-
on the talk shows.
Is it a new sexual revolution?
Is it a new sexual revolution? Well, I think at a certain level, I think it is.
It might well be, and there is always a lot of opposition to that in the world, and
Mm-hmm.
like the hippies had it, and the sexual revolutions in the '60s, and there was so much opposition. There will always be opposition towards a revolution of any kind that's about freedom and freedom of expression. So
Do you think you're a revolutionary, Eve?
I hope so. I try to be, because I want people to be more sexual in the way that they want to, without shame and guilt and repression. Because repression, shame and guilt is a force that makes you small and makes you not be who you are in yourself. I mean,
Wow, I really, you really said a lot in a few words there, Eve. Because shame and guilt, there's so much of that when it comes to sex-based behavior. It's almost like that indoctrination that's been used as a control mechanism. And I found that very interesting that when you, just the group, when you looked at the results, the quote deviants versus the control group, it was how apropos that they were named, the control group, because that's where the pushback is coming from. I don't know, that's my ideological view. A friend of mine said that he had saw another one of your sex and care cafes on 50 Shades of Grey. He didn't recall the title, but he said it was really worth a watch. Where could I find that at?
Well, you can find that on our Google Plus page. It's also available on YouTube. And if you just type in Sex and Care Cafe and 50 Shades of Grey, I'm sure you're going to find it there. This, I think, is our 12th Sex and Care Cafe, and we're posting them now 2 times a week, and you'll see them, as I say.
Yeah, and we explore sexuality in every different way. And
I know last time I joined you guys, it was on Live Longer in Sex, and it was just fascinating. And again, another really fascinating topic. Is there a calendar where I can find out when you're going to be on air more often? Because I just kind of happenstanced by today.
Yeah, the calendar is now being posted on our website, which of course is sexandcare.com, and you can go to the calendar there. It's under the Sex and Care Cafe, and you can see the subject matter and the days that we're going to be doing this. And if you would like to join, just give us a shout through the email, and we'll invite you in.
Excellent, excellent. I will definitely be in touch. It's always good to see you too.
yeah, and you guys, everybody, it's absolutely normal to explore your sexuality. There's nothing strange about it, and don't let anybody tell you how you are able to feel yourself within yourself.
And hey, we've got some nice whips, ticklers, and floggers at the Sex and Care store, sexandcare.com.
And explore and try it out, and look at our spanking video.
Oh, cool.
Thank you. Bye-bye.